here today with Rees Christensen, the owner of Arc Electric. I wanted to interview Rees today. Rees is on our preferred vendor list for electricians. I actually trust Rees enough that when our son came to us and said that he wanted to be an electrician, we knew who to send him to. Obviously, we have a lot of trust in you, or we would not have went that route. Rees, you have a really interesting story about how you started this company.
So I was an electrician for an outfit in Ankeny for about 8 years. I got my journeyman license, and then I've always had aspirations of starting my own company and being an entrepreneur, and waited a year and got my master's and had the opportunity to start my own company, and I did so. And I started with 3 guys, and we were working out of a Suburban and a trailer driving around the state of Iowa, and we picked up quite a few new construction jobs, but a lot of remodels, and then kind of built it from there. Picked up a job that was a little larger than I probably should have said yes to, but I found some guys that would come on the payroll and kind of grew a little bit from there, and started with probably 10 guys in the first year, and kind of kept going and compounding from that, and picked up some commercial work and hired some commercial guys. And now I just hired my 40th employee last week. So yeah. It's been pretty fun, wild ride, but been fun.
You just recently started doing some internship programs with high schools in the area. You've got several apprentices.
So I got set up with Johnston High School. I got referred to actually by a Klein Electric, is a good local company that I'm friends with, and they kicked over some Johnston High School kids that go to school in the mornings, and then in the afternoons they come and work for us, and that turned into hiring on 2 full-time guys in the beginning, and then we just got partnered up with Dallas Center Grimes, doing the same program, where right now we have 2 high school students working for us in the mornings, or working for us in the afternoon, and they're both great kids, and it's a good program. It's teaching kids to be in the trades, and college is not for everyone.
Right.
I went to college for 5 years, thought I was going to be a lawyer before all of this. And that did not turn out like I liked it to be. And I'm glad I found this. I wish I would have found the trades back when I was 18, 19 years old. Trades wasn't really pushed when I was younger. It was go to college, get a degree, either be a lawyer, be a doctor. Both my parents, my father's an eye doctor and my mother's a judge. So grew up around white collar. That's what you're supposed to do. And it's not for everybody.
Yeah.
Blue collar is, I think, the way of the future now. I think that there's a lot of need for hands-on training. I'm glad I got partnered up with the high schools in this local area to do that.
We've got homeowners out here. What are some tips you have for them on things that maybe they should check before they call an electrician that could save them some money? Maybe some obvious things that people just don't know.
Yep. So a lot of calls we get is pretty simple stuff, like your GFI is tripped. So check your bathroom, check your garages, check your kitchens. If there's a little outlet that has a red button on it, or a red light, any sort of a button, click that first before you call us. That's usually a GFI, it's tripped. Once you do that, if it resets, you're good. If it doesn't, then give us a call. Then there's probably something a little more major. Ceiling fans, if your ceiling fan's not working, try pulling the pull chain first before you give us a call. That could be a pretty simple fix. Light bulbs, if you got a light that's out, obviously, maybe check the light bulb first, swap a new one in there.
Even LEDs? I thought LEDs didn't burn out.
There is some bad brands of LEDs out there, and there's some good brands. I think Philips is a pretty good brand that lasts pretty long, but there's some junkier brands that LEDs it's just however it's made. It kind of depends on the manufacturer, but before you give us a call, if a breaker trips, go out, try and reset it yourself. If it trips again, then give us a call. But if it holds, then maybe it was a fluke, and that's called like a nuisance trip. Or if you have space heaters plugged in, which I will also say don't use space heaters. Unless you have a dedicated line for that space heater, don't use it. They're just a fire hazard. But if you got appliances plugged in, maybe give them unplug them first, and then see if the breaker will hold. GFIs are a lot of the phone calls.
Yeah.
Or find the GFI. Usually there's a hidden GFI somewhere, like in your basement.
Yeah.
Basements and garages behind shelving is usually where a hidden GFI is at. Soffit outlets.
Yeah.
If your Christmas light circuit doesn't work, there's probably a hidden GFI in a pantry or in a closet, or a switch isn't turned on.
Yeah, I suppose people that aren't really familiar with new construction probably don't realize that there's not the test and reset button on
Yes.
every GFI. You can
Yep.
have a GFI that doesn't have that,
Yep.
that's tied to another.
Yep. That outlet could be basically down on the load side of it. So just because it looks like a regular outlet doesn't mean that it's going to be a regular outlet. It'll be GFI'd on the load side of that GFI that's upstream from that.
We work with a lot of home buyers. A lot of them are doing home inspections, and we see things a lot of times on our inspection reports that'll say, work with a qualified inspector to take a peek at this. I think some of the common ones that we see are the grounding of the CSST line.
Yep.
And we see a lot of things with GFIs, older homes that when it wasn't code
Yep.
at the time to have GFIs in kitchens and bathrooms and
Yep.
all of those fun things. If you were to go through a home inspection yourself, do a home inspection yourself, what are some things that you would want to be considering?
A lot of it is just old, outdated wiring, especially in like the older part of Des Moines. I would say that's probably the majority of where this old wiring is still kind of located in our area. There's a lot of knob and tube, which is a term that you'll probably hear when you're going through older homes, and cloth wiring where it doesn't have a ground in it, which the average homeowner and home buyer would not know what those things are, but you can kind of tell from newer Romex, which is like the white or yellow sheathing. So if it's got color to it, it's probably newer. But if it's black and it looks kind of like old lamp cord, I would probably say, hey, let's have this looked at. Or if that electrical panel too in the basement or the garage, if it looks to be outdated, or if it's a Pushmatic brand or a Federal Pacific, because a lot of these older panels, so going back to the older panels, like they won't insure them. So like if you go to buy an older house, just because it's been existing, doesn't mean that it's still safe. Like once people start disturbing it and adding on to those panels is when you get overload issues and breakers trip more often, or they don't trip at all.
Right.
And then you get fires. So just outdated panels, give us a call.
Let's say you've got knob and tube wiring and you need to rewire the house.
Yep.
What ballpark, what are you looking at cost-wise for that?
So
thousands, tens of thousands?
On the low end, if we do a panel swap, it's $5,000 to $6,000, because we'll have to have permits pulled. The cities usually get involved, and they have a list once we go there, so it kind of varies from town to town. But then if you're rewiring a whole house, on the low end, I would say 15,000, because and that's just electrical. So that's us not fixing drywall.
Right.
If it was down to studs, that'd be probably 15,000. But if we're fishing stuff, we're going to be there for quite a while, and it could be upwards of 25,000. So there's a kind of a big gap of what we're doing. It kind of depends on how extensive the knob and tube is. A lot of times when people have knob and tube, it has been remodeled, and it's usually just the top floor that has knob and tube, and then usually the main level had been remodeled at some point.
Yeah, so definitely important to understand what kind of wiring you have. If you can't get it insured, or if you can get it insured, but it's going to be a fire hazard or a difficulty selling in the future, you just want to have, it shouldn't be something that scares you away, but just having that ballpark figure so you kind of know, does this make sense or does this not?
We're a Generac generator wholesaler and installer, and a part of that, we get financing through called Synchrony. So we can use that on any of our projects. So on these bigger ticket items, like a whole home rewire or a panel swap, you can go through Synchrony, which is the same company that does Homemakers card. So you get basically like a Homemakers card, but it'll say Arc Electric on it. And you can get financing where you can have 12 months, 18 months, whatever the program they have at that point. And people can get pre-approved day of, and it can get scheduled out within a week. And Synchrony pays for it in full, and then you just make payments like a regular credit card. But that's something that we offer now too, after being in partnership with Generac.
Thinking about my sellers, if they know they're going to have an issue selling a house, and they could go ahead and finance that now and pay it off out of proceeds later, so they can get the house sold. That could be a huge thing. We've talked kind of about the panel and the wiring. Anything else that kind of jumps out at you that would be a big red flag that, hey, I need to call an electrician and have this looked at further?
Most people can judge by looking at electrical work if it was done in a workmanlike manner. Like if somebody that you say your uncle's friend did it, he's probably not an electrician. And just looking at it, if it looks iffy, then it's probably not good. Most electricians do work to make it look good. They like it, even though it's going to get covered by drywall. They like to make the wiring look pretty, basically. But if it looks bad, give us a call and we'll be able to fix it up and make it right.
Perfect. So you will come out and do electrical home inspections if someone had a
Yep.
need for that.
Yep. I'll be doing one this morning. We're gonna go and fix a basement that was wired by a father, and he was not an electrician. So I'll be out looking at some stuff and fixing it before they sell it. Or I think they close at 1 today.
So not everybody should be a DIYer.
No,
Especially when it comes to electric.
Yes, just because YouTube tells you can do it, you should probably not do it. Yeah. So
yes. What are some of the types of services that you provide? What could someone call you for if they had an issue? I mean, is there anything would it be easier to say what you don't do or what you do?
We don't work on mobile homes. We'll do services to them, but usually interior work we don't do on mobile homes. They're paneling, their manufactured walls are a little difficult to get wires in and out of, so it ends up being kind of a nightmare on the electrical world. But other than that, I say yes to probably too many things, as my employees would say, but it's worked out. We'll do anything from utility work, underground work, new construction homes, new construction commercial, remodel commercial, remodel residential, little ceiling fan jobs. So we'll do, if you have a ceiling fan that needs swapped, give us a call. If you need an outlet that needs swapped, we do that also. We also do multiplexes. We'll do townhomes. We've done dentist offices, apartment buildings. There's not a whole lot that I don't think that we can do. I've got enough people on staff that have the skills in all of these other areas that we can do that. Me, myself, I'm more of a house guy. I love houses. I grew up doing houses for the past 12 years, so that's my niche.
Yep.
Is new construction homes and remodels. I love remodels, and I would say I only have probably 10 guys at my shop that likes remodels, because you got to think a lot more. You got to figure out what a guy did back in 1950 or 1960 and make it work, because not every job has to be ripped down to studs.
Right.
Not everybody wants to pay that. So
No.
being able to rework existing work is hard to teach, and I love that part of the electrical world.
So if you've got a residential home, you have a service need, you're there for them. If they need an inspection, you're going to be there for them.
Yep.
If you're an investor and you're flipping something,
Yep.
you like those.
Yep.
Give Rees a call.
Yep.
Obviously new construction and then commercial. So
Yep.
you really do the whole gamut of pretty much anything. And if anybody wants to get a hold of you, what's the best way to schedule an appointment with you guys?
So give our offices a call. You give us a call at 515-721-6258. And our office will be able to direct you either to our commercial side or our residential side or our service side, and kind of divvy it out from there.
Perfect.
So